Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you the gorgeous new Lavender collection from our friends at Stamperia. This features 8x8 pattern papers, 2 sets of rub-ons, plus chipboard die cuts, all with a really beautiful color palette and a gorgeous lavender theme. So let's take a closer look. I'll move aside the chipboard and our rub-ons just for now, and we can start by looking at our paper pack. So here you have 10 double-faced sheets, again 8x8. And when I open this up, you can see this really gorgeous set of papers. Everything is perfectly coordinated, as we know from Stamperia. You'll have some all-over designs here. You'll also have some scenery elements. Of course, lavender is the theme, not only for the color, but also for the motifs. Of course, Stamperia likes to go vintage with some faux text paper, as well as butterflies, feathers, old letters, all of those fun vintage elements, labels and birds, and kind of a faux wood background on here as well. Now, another thing I really love about Stamperia is when they include cutouts. So in this sheet, for example, these are all really easy to cut out, nice straight lines. On one side, you've got images that have a focal element. On the other side of that same sheet, you've got room for personalization. So that's really nice. So you have the rectangular images. You've also got a sheet of square images here too. So again, front and back. Now you've also got another sheet of cutouts in here, the tags, as well as lots of words and phrases, and those really do come in handy for the front or the inside of your card. Then on the inside back cover, you've got a sheet of fussy cut elements. You also have a sheet on the inside front cover with more fussy cut elements, or indeed this one in particular could be used as a background page if you wanted to. So this is our 8x8 paper pack. Now to go along, we also have the 2 sets of rub-ons. So these are gorgeous. You've got the romantic lavender, and you've got romantic lavender and animals. They're really easy to apply, and they've got some instructions on the back here as well. You will need something like a bone folder to apply those with. Really simple to do, and of course I will show you how. Now in that set of chipboard, well, there are 56 chipboard pieces in all, so I pulled them out of the package to make it a little easier to see the variety of elements here. Lots of beautiful flower images. You've got some animals in here, the cats, the duck, and the little rabbit. You've also got some nice large elements here, perfect for card focals. And then you've got some sentiment chipboard pieces here. Now these are all a really nice, sturdy and thick cardstock. They work beautifully on the front of your card, or of course can be used on the inside as well. So we have a lot of really beautiful things to play with in today's webisode. I'm really glad you're here, and I'm excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start with this card, which uses the pattern papers and chipboard elements in combination with 2 different cutting dies from hot off the press. I'm also using some cardstock, and the cardstock I'm using comes from the At the Lake cardstock collection, also from hot off the press. And you can see here these colors just went beautifully with today's Stamperia pattern paper collection. So I had some really nice choices for matting and for die cutting, as you can see here. Now what I really like about this overall card design is how the double diamond background creates a frame for these beautiful chipboard elements. So although the background pattern paper is quite subtle, I still opted to back the double diamond, which is this shape here, with a solid cardstock for contrast. So let's see how this all layers up. First, I started with this sheet of pattern paper, and I think you can see just the orientation, the splotches here and the splotches over here. This sheet is so gorgeous, and it contains so many different kind of faux layers in here, from the perfume label to the letters to these age splotches on here as well. It's just a really beautiful background paper. And when I glued this to the front of my card, after I did that, I inked around the outside edges with the Delicata gold ink pad. Now that just creates some nice soft dimension around here, and it really highlights the warm tones in the background paper. And of course, it's super easy to do that as well. All you'll need to do, just take off the lid from your ink pad and simply hold it perpendicular or at a bit of an angle onto your cardstock or pattern paper, and just kind of go back and forth on here. And once that ink dries, you will have a beautiful, soft and subtle metallic effect. And it just creates a really nice finishing look or finishing touch on your cards. So that's what I've done around the outside edge of my card once I covered it with this pattern paper. Then I've got my die cut double diamond on here. So let me show you the die set that I'm working with. Here it is. This is one of my favorites because it really does create a nice area for you to build on. So when you're die cutting something that is intricate like this, I do really recommend using the quick release die paper. Now this comes on a roll, looks like this. It's really pretty actually. And what you'll do is cut off a piece of this, and then you will nest it with your cardstock. So for example, if I'm cutting here, I'll place my quick release die paper on here and then my die on top, and then secure it down with a little bit of low tack tape and run it through your die cutting machine. And it really does make it a lot easier, especially when you've got some of these more intricate die shapes or die patterns, and you want to make sure you get at all of those little innies on there. So I've die cut my double diamond from brown cardstock, and then I've layered it onto another piece of cardstock, so a contrasting one, of course, from the At the Lake collection. And when I do this, another recommendation with these intricate dies is the Sticky Specs glue option. Now this is a micro adhesive, and it comes in a couple of different sheets in here, which is really nice. These will last you a very long time. So when you pull back this liner, on the orange sheet you've got some micro dots. All you need to do is simply place your die cut shape on here, smooth that down, and then when you lift this up, the dots will be on the back of your paper piece. And then, of course, you'll do the entire piece. And then you can place that down onto your cardstock or your surface. And that just makes it so much easier to glue things in place without getting glue kind of seeping out from under those intricate areas there. So those are the Sticky Specs, and a package will last you a very long time. So that's what I've done here. Now, one thing I do want to just point out to you with this, I've used a contrasting cardstock. I'm going to pull this up gently. The other nice thing is with Sticky Specs, you can, you do have a bit of flexibility, and you can, reposition things. But I wanted to show this to you on the brown, because I think this tone on tone effect is also really striking and really pretty. So another thing just to keep in mind. Then back to the card here. So I've added those two on the front of my pattern paper on my card. And then I added in these chipboard flowers from Stamperia. So I've got them layered up. I'm using some foam tape so that I've got a nice even layer on here. So this is one piece, and then I've got two chipboard leaves tucked underneath. Here's a flower cluster. Here's another one there as well. Now, I've also got the Find Joy chipboard element just going right across here. A couple of other elements that I have on here, of course, these beautiful tendrils and my butterfly. These are from another die cutting set, and this is the butterflies and hearts set. And I have to say, it is new to me, and it has quickly become one of my favorite sets, because look how many really versatile and useful elements it has. So of course the big butterfly is gorgeous for a card focal. You've got the smaller one, which I've used here. These tendrils, the green ones that I've got here and here. And then you've also got the little hearts, some larger hearts on here too. Really just a super collection of elements to use. And here's, of course, a card project. from hot off the press. They always want to make sure that you've got some inspiration there. So when I die cut my butterfly, I die cut 2 pieces. So I've got one cut from lavender paper and then one from the darker green. And I just put some adhesive in the center of the butterfly body and glued it like so. And this gives me a little bit more dimension on here. I'll hold it at an angle and hopefully you can see. This way, then I've got my 2 wings together, and I've simply glued that down with some foam tape. And I've got in here a little hunky-dory diamond sparkles gemstone, just right in the center there for a little touch of shine. That also coordinates nicely with the gold ink that I've used on the outside edge of my card. Then for the card inside, I have one of those rectangular cutouts from the paper pack. And I added the lavender basket rub-on down here in the corner. The bird up here is also a rub-on. And then I've got another rub-on here. So I'm using both of the rub-on sets, the Romantic Lavender and Animals. And then I've got 2 chipboard pieces. I've got the smile and this bunny just to complete the set. These rub-ons, as I mentioned, super easy to apply, and I think they add a really nice touch either on the front of your card or on the inside. So let's take a look at how to apply them. Rub-ons are a real favorite here at Paper Wishes, and Stamperia is well known for producing some beautiful designs that are such wonderful quality too. So not only are you getting gorgeous elements, but they are also so easy to use, and they really do transfer beautifully. Now on the back of the package, you will have some instructions on here in a couple of different languages, but let me show you how to apply a rub-on simply and easily. So here I've got a little birdie image. This is coming from the Lavender and Animals set. And I've simply cut this out from the backing sheet, making sure to keep the 2 layers together. So I've got the liner as well as this top piece with the image on it. Now, when I separate those 2, I do want to make sure I'm not handling the back of this piece because some of the image could come off on my hands. So let me just play with the positioning here. Maybe I want to put our little birdie right there. And I'm going to position this down. I'm going to kind of fold up one corner of that plastic piece so I've got something to hold on to. But because there's a bit of stick on there, it's not going to go anywhere. So it'll stay in place. Then I just need a bone folder or similar tool. This is one of my favorites. It's got this nice angled tip on there, and what I can do is just come right in and use some gentle but firm pressure to burnish the image in place. So I'm going to go around in a circular motion. You don't have to put a whole lot of muscle into it, but do make sure, especially with detailed images like this, that you get all of the outside area there. And then I'll grab onto my folded up corner and gently and slowly I'm going to pull this up. Now if I need to, if I notice that there's a part that didn't transfer, I can put this back in place and do a little bit more burnishing if I need to. Now it looks like my little birdie transferred just fine. And so you can see how beautifully this can incorporate into the rest of your design. So I've got a card project to share with you. And with this card, I used rub-ons from the Lavender and Animal set to accent this vase of flowers. So those little lavender sprigs there are rub-ons. I also used a lavender stem on the inside of the card here, and my marmalade cat is also a rub-on, and they just integrate so nicely into a design. Now for the front of my card, I've covered this with a beautiful collage style paper, so you can see the design that I worked with here. You can see the splotch is right over here, and I positioned this kind of like so because I wanted to have the text reading right at the top center. So this is where I've pulled this section of the pattern paper from, and of course it means I've still got the rest of this to work with too. And then I've added a second piece of pattern paper here with a bit of a cardstock border. Now I wanted to just show you the difference here. Here's my lavender pattern paper. You could simply combine the two like so. I decided to add in a bit of matting with some brown cardstock with that border. And what I like about this is how it creates a nice visual space between these two designs and helps each of those patterns to sort of stand out on its own. Let me show you this again, and you can see how I've just got a border going across here. I inked the edges of the border with our gold ink pad and then put it onto that brown cardstock border. And I've positioned it a bit more toward the bottom of the card front, so it's not going exactly in the center. So then I've also inked around the outside edges of the card with the gold delicata, and I added this pretty square cutout in the center. Now this is popped up on some foam tape for a bit of dimension. My focal is a vase of flowers made with the Botanical Library die set. So have a look, also from hot off the press. Also a favorite of mine. I love it because you've got so many elements in here. So you've got the vase, which is right down here, which I've used. You've also, of course, got lots of different floral images, and you've got lots of leaf accents on here too. And I've used those leaves as well, die cutting them from, of course, the cardstock set. So I've added in the leaves, just tucked in here. I've got some chipboard flowers at the top of my vase, and then I've got a chipboard butterfly up here. She's up on some foam tape too for a little bit of extra dimension, and the chipboard flowers are as well. Now the hello is a cutout from the paper pack. I've inked it with gold and then just foam taped that on here. And then I've also got a bow tied in some jute twine. This is one of my favorites to use. I should have this in bulk probably. And I've just tied this in with a little bit of jute twine, glued it down, and I've got a really nice focal element. Then for my card inside, I have a strip of patterned paper matted on brown cardstock. And then I added this cutout with a cluster of chipboard flowers. And I've got some leaf cutouts from the botanical set, as well as my rub-on here. Don't forget our little marmalade cat rub-on. And then the smile chipboard piece to finish it off. For this card, I've combined some collage pattern background paper. I've got a rub-on here, a cutout from the paper pack, some chipboard embellishments, and I've also got a little bit of lace here as well. So with this card, I've started with a piece of collage background paper. And I'll show you, it's about this area of the paper that I'm working with. So you can see the orientation of that flower right there. That's where I'm trimming from. And I've cut the piece of pattern paper just slightly smaller than the front of my card. And then I inked the edges with the Delicata gold ink pad. And I really like how it gives a pretty and polished effect. Then I've also used some die cut lace. Now this is from the Luscious Lace set from Paper Wishes. You can see here two different dies. You've got the border die and then you've got this large doily, and that's what I've die cut for this little portion here. Now, as with the double diamond background die, I really recommend you use the quick release die sheets to make it easier to pop out all of those little innies and get a crisp cut. And I also recommend using the sticky specs for this as well. Now the focal is this lovely chipboard basket, and I added the Start the Day banner chipboard piece right overhead. And this is going on to one of the square cutouts from the paper pack. So you can see how easily that becomes a beautiful focal element on the front of a card. And then at the top corner, I added a floral rub-on from the Romantic Lavender rub-on set just to create a nice little accent here. And the rub-on balances out that lace at top and bottom and right and left. Then for my card inside, I have just a strip of patterned paper with inked edges and another piece of that lace doily, plus an overlapping heart and smile chipboard piece. Super simple to put together, and I think a really nice greeting card for so many different occasions. All right, I've got another card project to share with you. And our final card is made with patterned papers and the Tuxedo card die. So that will give you a really fun shape. This card style is so much fun to make. It's one of my favorites, and it is a good partner for large chipboard pieces like this window. So let's have a look. I'll show you the die set that I'm working with. So here you've got 3 die pieces together. So you've got the card back, you've got the card front, and then you've got the crossbar. Here again, a project idea for you. And then if you flip this over, you'll see your folding and your gluing diagram on here. So it makes it really easy. And of course, some written instructions on there as well. So what you'll do is die cut 1 piece of each of the shapes. So here's my front, here is my back, and then here is my crossbar. Now you can see with my sample, I've already done my folding on here, but let's start with the back. So what you'll do is score that middle section. Of course, that's already scored. You just need to fold it up. And again, this is where your bone folder will really come in handy too, to give you a nice crisp edge on there. And then you'll fold up the sides. Then with your crossbar, what you're going to want to do is measure up 2 3/4 inches from the bottom and secure that in place. So glue that right in here, and that will be your crossbar for whatever you're putting in the center. Fold these up, then take your front piece and you're going to align these edges together like so. Now, I do really recommend that you use the extra sticky tape for this. This is going to hold your card together really nicely and securely. So I just put a little bit here, and then I try to position just one side down first and then the other side. And then you are ready to decorate your design. So let me show you what I've got here. If we bring this back in, I've die cut the back of my card from this all over floral design. Now, when you choose the paper for the back portion, be sure to check the other side of the pattern design because you can choose a really pretty scene if you want to. So here on the back of my card, I made sure to position it so that I've got this beautiful door and then the little window there. So then I've die cut that for the back portion, and I've got the window perched up on that crossbar. Now for the front of my card, I used this design with this really nice border down at the bottom. So that's what I've got positioned here. Again, check the other side of the design. In this case, I've got a nice neutral pattern. So when that folds over, everything is reading correctly and it goes the way I want it to. Then here on the 2 flaps, I've got some more lace, and this is of course also coming from the Luscious Lace die. So that's that border design rather than the doily. So I've just added that here either side using the sticky specs, trimmed off the edges. I inked around all of the edges with that gold ink pad, and that again creates a little bit of softness and dimension on here. So the large window chipboard piece is my focal, and I added a couple of flowers up here at the top. Balancing at the opposite corner is another floral grouping, and the smile cutout is added with some jute twine on here. At the bottom, I have a gorgeous chipboard butterfly and a cutout sentiment from the paper pack. And then the card can stand up like this. Again, another look at the other side of this. It's just such a fun design to make, and one that goes really nicely with today's webisode collection. And this is our final project of the day today. So a big thank you, of course, to our friends at Stamperia for their absolutely stunning collection of lavender papers and embellishments. And a special thanks to you for joining me today. We're really glad you're here. We're so happy that you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.